There. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. We're very glad you're here. And I'm excited today to talk about forest schools because, if there had been a forest school when I was a kid, I would have loved it. And I've dreamed of, I'm like to be very connected to nature, and I make plans to teach a lot and give my little granddaughter a lot of experiences as if it was a nature school when she's here. And so I'm thrilled to talk about forest schools and all that's involved with that. And so thank you, everyone. And my guest today um, is Aneta Saniewska. Sorry, I'm having trouble pronouncing that. And Lisa Schrager. I think I got them.
Yes.
And I've known Aneta for quite a while now, and Lisa, I just met her today, and I'm glad to welcome both. And I'm going to read a little bit of a bio here so that you all can meet them and learn a little about where they're coming from in talking today. So, and I was very, this came, in fact, I think Spirit put this into my mind to ask Aneta because I was trying to think. I do what I call Friend a Tree Week every equinox. So I take 3 days before the equinox and then the equinox itself, and then 3 days afterwards because the energies wax and wane like the moon. And so both spring and fall, then I do what I call Friend a Tree Week. And it's to encourage people to hold a tree, go out and be close to the tree, put your hands on it, feel its energy, and then hold your intentions for
Mhm.
the highest good of the universe and for the highest good of yourself and your individual intentions for your life, and let the tree take those in its energies and disperse them throughout the universe, in the connection with all the trees and all the water molecules everywhere, right? Because they can, their energy is so much bigger, and it's like, whew, it can just take our intentions and go with them. And so that's what Friend a Tree Week is for. And so tomorrow officially starts Friend a Tree Week. So this is a great kickoff for us. And and I was wondering, well, what in the world who could I contact for an interview to start Friend a Tree Week? And then the thought came to my mind, Aneta does the forest school. So here we are. And Aneta Saniewska, I'm sorry, Aneta, um,
No worries.
um, and Lisa Schrager share their experiences with us with trees and with teaching. And their forest school is called Fox and Sparrow. And it's near Newark, New Jersey. And they've had that school for about 6 years now. Aneta is a member of the Eastern Region Association of Forest and Nature Schools, from which she earned her nature-based teacher certification. And she is a certified yoga teacher also. And Lisa's credentials include certification as a holistic health counselor, an herbalist, and a homeschool community educator with 17 years of experience in leading forest adventures. And you can follow them on Instagram if you'd like to learn more about that. And um, they operate their business as a private member association, and the name of that is Divine Earth Village, and that's how you would find them under Instagram and also their website. And both those links are down below for you to check out. And so I really like to hear people's stories and where they're coming from and hear about their connection with nature. And so, if each of you, whoever wants to go first, it doesn't matter to me, if you could talk about when you first noticed your um, attraction to or your connection with nature, and then how did that lead you to do what you do now?
Okay, I'll go first with this one. um, so my love for nature, I honestly, it's really kind of like a mystery. I don't know when it happened. It just kind of happened magically on its own. But I remember going to the Sequoia National Park. I always loved going for hikes, but I feel like before, my hikes were almost focused as an exercise more than being connected with nature and just zooming through, not really paying attention. Looking, but not really being present in everything around me. And when we were in Sequoia and just being around those magnificent trees, and I've never seen trees the size of the trees that exist in that park. I was blown away, and I just could not believe that there are trees the size of buildings in the world. Um, and that was one of the times where I really just felt big connection to nature and specifically to trees, since we're talking about trees. And then thinking back, I grew up in Poland, and there used to be this tiny little, for me back then when I was little, I thought it was like a little forest, but it was actually this tiny little area with just a few trees. And without even thinking, I realized that I used to go there by myself and just sit by this tree. And it was almost like a healing process for me whenever I felt sad or when I felt just something where I needed to be okay. I would go and I would sit by that tree and just talk to it or cry or whatever I needed to do and be just me with the tree. And sometimes I would make these little nature collages in the earth right next to it. It's like a thing where you do and you create little collage with flowers or leaves or whatever you find. And then there was always a lot of broken glass. So it would be like a beautiful, colorful green, blue, white collage of glass that I would put on top of it.
Hmm.
And then it would be like my little secret where you leave that and then cover with dirt, and then when you come back a few days later, you uncover it and it would still be there, as beautiful as it was when you left it.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of like, I guess it goes all the way back to my childhood. And I never really thought about that and realized that I had that strong connection um, and that healing that I received without even knowing from the tree.
Yeah.
It was a
Oh, that's
beautiful
beautiful.
big pine tree. Yeah.
You know that burying the colored glass like that, that's almost like a crystal grid, right? You were
Hmm.
almost like because it wasn't like the actual crystals, but the colors have their energies and things, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very good. Thank you. And Lisa?
Thank you.
So I actually grew up in the city, so I had very little connection to nature. But I was raised by my great aunt who would still somehow bring in, she lived in a tiny apartment, but she had like a little garden off her windowsill. And we'd always like go to the park. And I remember even in the sidewalk, there would be like little weeds that would come up through the cracks of the sidewalk. And I always remember these little things of nature and how strong nature was, right? That it was able to grow within this sidewalk that was the cement that was, covering it over it. But I was an indoor kid. I was shuffled around. I didn't go out that much just by design. And it wasn't until college I had a boyfriend who had a place in Pennsylvania, like an extra uh, location, and we started going there on the weekends. And I just fell in love with. I didn't think I was able to get that kind of peace, and I was really able to. Um, I feel like the stress of college and school, and it was like a way to kind of connect. So to me, everything has been an unfoldment. So I really started falling in love with hiking and nature around college. And then I was a public school teacher for about 10 years. And then I had two kids in daycare. I was basically doing a mainstream existence. And then my second child just hated daycare. And I was able to somehow just by, the universe gave, I basically was able to give me a 3 day a week uh, learning experience where I could teach 3 days a week, but one of those days was in the forest. So this alternative program was 2 days in the classroom, 1 day in the forest. And I was able to see the difference between the same kids in a classroom versus the same kids in a forest. And I was able to see the magic that unfolded as a result. So that really woke me up to what nature, you know, teaches us, and just the connection. And then it's been a progress ever since. So with the pandemic, we started our forest school, and again, at the time, I had young kids, and I wanted to bring nature. But since then, even I've woken up more. I'm starting to, it's been a learning journey for me as well. So that's kind of where I've been.
Oh, very good. So we kind of touched on, Aneta kind of touched on the magic, in
Mhm.
like having a crystal grid or your
Mhm.
own meditation spot, um, and that energy from the tree that can enhance your life. And you spoke of the magic that it brought you when you first visited the forest, or, with your boyfriend and
Mhm.
stuff, and the magic of the children in the forest school. Would you talk more or give examples of, tell some of your stories about how you see the magic in the children when you're with them in the forest? What are,
Yeah.
um,
So one thing I noticed is that typically kids who I would say struggle in like the classroom would all of a sudden become like the leaders in the forest situation. So they would
hmm,
actually like thrive. And they were the most creative, the most into the so it's like it's amazing how, they didn't necessarily fit in that classroom model, but they were like the pioneers in the forest situation. One thing that I also really loved is by going to the same place over and over, we were able to really observe differences, and they were the ones who would be like, "Oh, look at this, you know, this mushroom popped up," or the subtle changes in a tree over the seasons. And it's really about experiential learning versus, just having that abstract on a piece of paper. This is what we're learning about. They're the ones truly involved in their own curiosity and learning, and that was the magic. And just the connection that, just like any relationship, right? If you meet someone quickly once, you're not really going to have a relationship. But that going over and over into the forest over time developed a relationship with the plants, with the stones, with the everything around. So that's really the magic that I found.
very cool.
And I can just add a little bit. Just noticing specific children sometimes, we had this little boy that came and was just like, oh, bugs are icky. Oh, he didn't want to touch anything. He didn't want to get dirty. He was just like, I almost feel like his parents or his mom, not to say forced him to be there, but just like help him bring him out of a shell a little bit. And by the end of the session, he was a lot more comfortable with the bugs, with getting dirty, with having fun, with just being free and a little bit more confident about not just being in nature, but himself. It like really helped to build his confidence.
Mm,
That was one boy, and there was it's just few examples where the same thing, kind of like children are afraid of the things they're not usually around, especially kids that don't have access to being in nature and they're just in the building, then in the school. So being out and touching bugs and touching dirt and being able to do that, because sometimes as parents, without even realizing we forbid that. Don't get dirty, don't do this, don't touch this, don't climb. And that is so important for building their character, for letting them to come out of their shell, to to just be kids. And it's so beautiful to see that transformation. And I think Lisa mentioned, how children that come out and they're kind of like these little tough kids from school, and like maybe they become homeschooling, and then you see how they change and kind of become a little bit more humble and are more helpful and agreeable and cooperative and team players by the end of the session. So it's just really beautiful to watch the transformations and the kids of all different ages.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. And since both of you have like school age children, right? Um, do you both like bring your own children too, or or at times in the past, if you don't now, then how have you seen that in your own children?
It's just been a beautiful experience for my children. My youngest, I feel like has, you know, grown up since she was a baby in the forest. So I've really seen, it's funny. My oldest, I was working as a public school teacher, and then the middle one was in between. So I really have almost like a sociology experiment of the three kids. Um, and the youngest just has this natural uh, connection just by design. She'll be outside and she'll be like, "Oh, that's a robin." She'll know the sounds of the birds. Just a difference in like she'll sit outside and the deer will come really close. Like it's almost and it's interesting. Like it's almost like she feels connected, but I feel like nature knows that she feels that way, and it kind of responds to her. So it's been a beautiful experience for her and for all
Yeah,
my kids, but she got the most of it. So
lovely.
And the same thing for Danica. She pretty much started coming with me to meetings and being outside in the park, even without the forest program that we created before. And we would always make an effort to be out in nature. Um, and I think the same. She's, compared to like the kids we have in the neighborhood, you can see the difference between the child that's been always out in nature and not the no fear of the bugs or the weather elements, just being okay with pretty much everything and being okay being out no matter what.
yeah, I think one of the biggest missions I have is really the unprogramming of fear, because I was like an indoor kid who was afraid of bugs, was kind of programmed that way. My mom was from the city as well. Like she never had the connection to nature, so like I know that side of it, and I see it when family. I also, it's not just for the children because I do like a parent-child class now, so I do it with the parents. It's also for them. I want them to play in nature, and I think just by spending time, you realize there's no fear, and just to switch that fear over is like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. So do you have your school in all seasons of the year to
It depends on enrollment. Um, I was lucky this past winter. There was a lot of families in the parent-child class who wanted to come through winter, and we had a true winter in New Jersey here. It was lots and lots of snow, but we had a great time. It was really fun.
And yeah, we do all year. And we believe that being out in nature through all the seasons is extremely really important to see the changes out in the forest. And as Lisa mentioned before, when we try to go to the same location through the session, So if it's starting in the spring, the trees are still kind of asleep. Everything is just starting to wake up slowly. And by the time the session is over, everything is fully awake and grown. And the big changes are just so noticeable. And they can see that every time we come, every week, from week to week. If it's just a 1 a week session, you can see the difference. And it's really magical how they get to experience that.
Yeah, we actually in the parent-child class we do um, where they pick a tree, so similar to what you're doing, Carla. So they have their special tree, and we do a sit spot practice at the end where we just sit with the tree, hug it, just spend time, and then and like I said before, they start to notice the subtle changes, or they'll come up with a comment of what the tree shared with them. But it takes that practice.
So, of what the tree shared with them. So you must encourage them then to listen to the tree and hear the
Yes,
messages. Yeah,
yes,
good, good,
yes, yes,
very cool. Yeah, it's always amazing the divine wisdom, right? That speaks to me from through the tree.
yes. It's beautiful.
And we practice the sit spot with all the
All the groups,
children,
yeah. It's
kind
one
of
of our
like
practices.
just moment towards the end of the day. Um, Usually is where they get to. It depends on the session, but we get to either choose a tree or a rock or a spot to just be present and quiet and mindful and just observing and listening to nature. Um, and I feel like it's been really magical what the kids notice
Yeah,
each session.
yeah. For example, in winter, we were by the stream, and if everyone's playing, we're not really noticing. But as soon as we were quiet, we could hear the water underneath the ice, which was really cool, rushing through. So just little notices like that.
Yeah.
So
Oh, very good. Could you walk us through what a typical day might be? A typical, is it you meet for an hour or for 3 hours, or what's kind of your time
Do you want to
span?
talk about the parent-child, and I'll talk about the other?
sure, yeah. I mean, we run it similarly. For parent-child, we usually do an opening circle. We have a song depending on it changes for each season. So we sing a song, and I'll usually tell a story that's something that's happening in nature at that moment. So, I recently did one on ice and snow. Other ones I've done are like I did one on pine trees, and we did pine needle tea and stuff like that. So, I usually tell a story, and then we go for a walk. But I let the children lead the walk, so we're not going at a fast pace. So if we stop and find something cool, we check it out. We look for, in the snow, we were looking for lots of animal prints. So that might take us off path a little bit. We might see, oh, look, there's a hole where maybe an animal has a den there. So we just took our time. Um, Sometimes we do like a more natural craft depending on, what's available. Like I said, we've done teas. We do some foraging. Just it depends on whatever takes us. And we have a beautiful location that does have this really nice creek with some old trees. So we usually end up there, and then I let the kids just play and do free exploration. And then we end our spot with that sit spot practice. And then we usually do like a circle at the end where I just ask them, I want to hear what they want to learn. So if something pops up for them, what they might have saw a chipmunk that day. Although I want to learn about chipmunks, so that's kind of how I kind of guide. It's an emergent curriculum. I guide through the seasons and through what the interests are of the children.
Nice, very good. Aneta?
Beautiful. And how long is your? I
Oh,
forgot to
it's
mention. How
about
long
an
is
hour
your?
and a half.
And we do like a drop-off program too for children between the ages 5 and before we did it between 5 and 12, and I think we're going to change it maybe to between 5 and 10 because we think that The age difference is really important too. So the little ones can learn from the big ones can be helpful and learn from the little ones, and it's fun to watch the dynamic of the different age groups. Um, and that program is a little bit longer. Sometimes we do from depending on the season, and how cold it could get. The winter is a little bit shorter. Maybe we'll do for 4 hours or 3 hours. And sometimes we'll do summer a little bit longer.
Hmm.
Summer camp, we'll do a whole week out from maybe 9 to 2, something like that. And kind of the same. We'll always have an activity for the day. We start with our circle, and activity for the day, a hike, exploring. But everything is usually child led, so we allow them to take the lead in the way of, like Lisa said, if we're walking and we catch something interesting, we're kind of just going with the flow to keep that engagement, to keep that excitement, and um, hike back, exploring, um, you know, um, circle time. And usually towards the end, we'll do this practice. It's kind of like a game that a lot of places practice it, but we call it rosebud thorn. And the rose is like a highlight, or what would be your favorite thing. It's like the most beautiful thing of the day. What was your favorite thing? So that gives us an idea of what the children enjoy to bring in the future. The bud is something they're excited to do in the future, looking forward to coming out. Um, and the thorn is something maybe that was a challenge, or something that didn't work out the way they wish it did. And I feel like all three, it teaches them um, how to be grateful, how to see things in a different way and appreciate them. And it also brings, if there was a challenge, one child could hear somebody else's challenge, like, oh, I'm not the only one that struggled today with something, and it makes it okay. And it um, brings us kind of closer to, we all share at the end what they want to do. And then you notice too, with some ages, how the children copy each other. And as they get older, they get a little bit more independent with even their answers. So it's cute to see that observation.
Yeah. So, what are some of the challenges or some of the thorns that they might have? I mean, I could see like if they fell down or
That's
you
quite
know,
often.
Yeah.
had
when, they,
something
when they get
rough or
hurt
something.
or something happens.
Yeah.
But other things would be like, maybe they were trying to build some kind of a structure or shelter, and it didn't quite work out. They expected, or it wasn't as easy as they thought it was, or they did something, and then maybe we made a ladder with rope, and you couldn't actually climb it at the end because they weren't um, following the instructions maybe that we guided, but they wanted to do it on their own, and they realized that, hey, this way didn't work. Do you have any other examples, maybe, Lisa?
Yeah, I would say sometimes it would be just, relationship challenges, or just environmental, right? Like they might got stung by a bee that day, or, but that's okay, and it's kind of building that resilience and also teaching, well, okay, things like this happen. What could we do better next time? Learning from our experiences, our challenges. So no matter what, it's all good.
Yeah.
One day it was the first day of spring session, I believe, where it downpoured. It was the coldest day ever. Everybody that day, I think, cried for at least a little bit. At least it was just the most intense day.
Yeah.
And it was a really challenging day for everybody. And
Yeah.
it was the only day it rained our entire session.
It wasn't in the
Crazy.
forecast, so we had to quick put up a tarp. But it was early. It was spring, just like it's probably right around now. So people
The
weren't
kids were not
wearing,
dressed.
no one was wearing winter clothes. So it was just, everyone was freezing. And we had a lot of cold children who were,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we
So that was a
managed,
very
and
challenging day, but we made it through. And now it's a great story. And the kids still talk about it. And yeah, it works out no matter what.
yeah.
So that brought up to me some questions, or from what you said, you must bring some things like first aid kit. And Lisa, you'd talked about being an herbalist. And I know, Aneta, you do a lot of herbal or natural remedies and things. And you talked about bringing a tarp and
Mhm.
things. So, what all might you have on hand? Do you leave them in your car? You bring them all with you as you have a backpack as you hike through, or how do you do that?
We're the
Yeah.
bag ladies.
Yeah, we are.
The
we
bag
look like
ladies.
we look like donkeys with yeah.
Big backpacks, then maybe even another bag on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We got,
We
yeah, we're
carry everything with
depends
us
depends
because usually
on,
we'll
what's
hike.
going on that day, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff. Yeah, we have a first aid kit. A lot of it's natural. Um, yeah, tarps. We have like a saw. What else do we have?
Knives for
Knives.
carving.
Yeah, it depends on also what we're doing with the kids. We try to, we try
Yeah.
to use everything in the forest, but a few extra
We'll
supplies.
have some binoculars in case anybody
Mhm.
wants to explore, see something, magnifying glass. We usually have some kind of rope in case the kids want to build things or
Yeah, we do not.
structures.
Yeah.
We bring a tarp usually to either to place their bags down if it's really muddy, or their backpacks, or protection from rain. We try to, the forecast is never unpredictable, um, but we try to have something in case it's heavy downpour, so not everybody's soaking wet by the end of the day, to have some kind of a shelter to hang out in.
Yeah.
Um, and then we also carry some mud kitchen stuff, so some bowls, some
Okay.
spoons, things like that for the little ones to play and explore. That's why we are looking for space to have, um, our space, kind of not to be in the public land, but to either use somebody's space in their farm or their land that they have that they're not using, and it would bring joy to have children around, and it would just be a little bit more opportunity to have steady space where we can build things and not have to carry everything every day back and forth.
Hmm.
That's our goal to bring that. We're asking the universe to present it.
Yeah. So anyone listening, if you feel the tug at your heart and you have extra land that children could be on a few days a week, you might reach out to them if you feel
Yeah,
so inclined. Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, beautiful. So I know, since this is just slightly off the subject, but since you bring your natural, your first aid kit, and I know you both do natural things. So, like if you're in the forest and someone gets a scratch or something, so what's your go-to ointment or salve or remedy?
Plantain's really good. And that's pretty abundant in the forest, so it's good like a band-aid. Yarrow is also good for stopping bleeding. Um, Mulleins good, not as a first aid necessarily, but it's good for like a lung opener. It's good for toilet paper. so, so yeah, there's a few things. What do you think, Aneta? Can you think of
Well, I
anything?
also have with me, usually I created kind of like my own first aid kit.
Yeah, we
So
have
I,
we
I
have
just
like
have
salves and
natural salves that
yeah,
that just has comfrey and all kinds
comfrey,
of
yeah.
things. I have one special one that's for after bug bites. If anybody gets a bug bite, then we have one for that. I have one that's just for scrapes. And then, like, the regular Band-Aids. I also carry, because we do make fires. Sometimes we teach the children how to make a fire. We've cooked on it before. We've even attempted to make popcorn once.
We did.
That was
Took
definitely
a
a
few
learning
tries.
lesson.
Yeah.
It was fun. They had a blast. But just in case somebody does get burned, I do have salt with me, because I've learned that it's actually amazing for burns
Oh
if
yeah,
you
I
put
never
it
heard
on
that.
right away.
Hmm.
So I have sea salt with me. I usually have some essential oil like lavender for burns is really good. So I have that with me. Um, I'm trying to think. I do have some homeopathy as well for if somebody sprains in something, or I have the MSO for that. I have homeopathy, like I said, for either pain or some kind of trauma in case somebody needs it. And so we're pretty
Well,
good with
well
that.
prepared.
Well
Yeah, well
prepared.
prepared.
Yeah.
So I find it fascinating. I meant like when I was a kid, I always thought it would be cool to, um, to know your knots or to build the rope or like you were talking about the ladder and stuff. And I never learned how. But growing up on a farm, we would, stack up branches around a tree to make a shelter for where we stood waiting for the school bus and stuff
Oh,
like that. But so what are some of those activities? I mean, you've mentioned slightly some of them. Maybe you could talk about more of those or in more detail or something.
Yeah, so depending on like kind of like what the group is for the session, we try to make it interesting for that, like maybe age appropriate or, but one session we've made hammocks where the children made hammocks with rope and sticks that we collected in the woods. We've made what is the thing you called when you're carrying somebody in case they get hurt? We teach them
oh, a
how to
stretcher.
a
We did
stretcher.
like a first aid,
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah. We've made a ladder. Um, what else? Do you have any other ones that you can think of right
We've
now?
done, yeah, basic shelters. Um, we did tarp shelters as well. Um, we teach them about fire, so have them practice. We do a lot
Start,
of
starting fire from scratch, like rubbing sticks together, or do you use a
no,
tinder?
not we're
I,
not they're not there yet, but just
Well,
more
in
like
our
I'm not there
session, not
yet.
necessarily,
yeah.
but
Oh,
not to cut you off, I'm
Okay,
sorry,
go ahead.
but we had we had our friend Joe that would teach the older children survival, and he actually did do it with like the stick, the friction.
Yeah,
He
friction
did
fire.
teach how to do the friction fire with a bow,
Mhm.
and he did for the older children. The little
Yeah,
ones wouldn't be able to handle that.
yeah.
That one we do with
He also
matches.
did like a bow and arrow session, Joe, which was really cool.
The
Um,
ladder,
yeah,
throwing.
yeah. It's
Um,
honestly we're growing with the program, so we'll take classes and learn on our own, and then we can bring it in because we did like a
mhm.
knots class. We taught one year about um, like the shadows and like our clock and the day and the sun and where the positioning of the sun is. What else have we done? I'm trying to think.
and we let the
Lots
kids
of,
just do fun things too, like,
yeah.
building a little fairy houses
Hmm.
in the forest. So we'll like create like a little fairy magical section and everybody gets to build their own or work in a team. It's their choice kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Um,
they absolutely love that part of it. And I love that they believe in the magic as much as I do. The magic is maintained. So I think it's beautiful. Because they'll say, "Oh, I heard something. I heard a noise, or I saw something by their fairy house."
yeah. In the
Um,
winter, we'll make bird feeders for them with pine cones and maybe some seeds and nut butters or things
yeah,
like that for the
yeah.
birds.
It just keeps changing and growing. Well, we do a lot of
Mhm.
foraging. We'll teach them about the plants.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll teach them about the plants they should stay away from,
yes.
so they have
Hmm.
some knowledge and
Mhm.
teach their friends and family about it if they go out in nature.
Mhm. Yeah, we did some
Um,
basic natural dyeing. We've made clay. That was really cool.
Hmm.
That's
We
right.
foraged
I
clay.
forgot about that.
Yeah, we made some
We
little pots.
forged clay, we made clay, and then we made some pottery with it.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And we were blessed that Lisa has a friend who has um,
A
kiln
firing, yeah,
where,
the kiln.
Hmm.
so we were able to
Yeah,
give
they
that
got an
to them.
actual fired piece of pottery, which is nice. Although
Yeah.
I'd love
Yeah,
land to make our own,
I
to make
know.
our own kiln, but
Exactly.
yeah,
It would be beautiful. And we've teach them even about animals, like, in nature, when you interact with, there's bears, we've come across.
Hmm.
One session we were walking and the bear was nearby and must have been like kind of like a meeting season. And the bear growled really loud at us. So, what do you do when you encounter a bear, or if you find a snake, or a hurt bird? And it's like all these little things that, depending on what nature brings us, we get the opportunity to teach them as we go along, and it's really nice that they get to experience all that.
Yeah. So, what do you then, each of you, do for yourself in the forest? How do you notice, or maybe you teach the children this too, to how do you feel the differences in your body? Do they touch, like, relaxing or other things? I'm guessing that's part of what the children, would experience. Maybe they don't tap into exactly it or whatever, but I don't
yeah.
know.
For me, it's like two things. It's working with the elements and kind of feeling them within your body, but also kind of being able to let things go, depending on the situation. So there's so much healing all around, right? So, like, if you put your feet in the stream and just letting, feeling that letting go of like that energy and that grounding, or sitting next to a tree, all those things. It's kind of a personal relationship, so it's something that it's hard to necessarily teach, but I just think by virtue of being in the presence over time, naturally people develop that relationship.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Very.
and I'd say that for me, just, even when we're not doing our nature program, I don't really like to call it a school because we're not really a school. But when we're not, either when I'm with the children, it's just so peaceful. I noticed a huge difference in myself and my well-being, and my, growing up, I did suffer some mild depression, on and off as a teenager, as a young child, and from trauma from my childhood and things like that. Um, and noticing that being in nature, I've kind of was able to let go of a lot of that. And even if I'm having a difficult day and going to our program in the morning, I get there and it's just kind of like, you just feel so much lighter just arriving there. And by the end of the day, you feel as if your battery was recharged. And oftentimes, when we can, the weather, I do go barefoot. And a lot of the children are like, oh, can I take my shoes off? I'm like, sure, as long as you're comfortable with it. A lot of times parents don't allow the kids to be barefoot. And with us, they're able to do that and to be okay with it and not worry about it. And they're totally fine. They're totally fine. They're so happy. And I feel the same kind of just being there, sitting. And now, like I said before, when I would go on hikes, it was just kind of like, hike, how many miles can I do today? Now I go and I stop and I look at a leaf and see and notice the little veins that are growing in that leaf. And that connection to my heart and how nature is just so beautiful and so moving. And just being able to sit there for a minute and observe and not rush, because we rush every day with everything.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
do, don't we?
it's been
Yeah,
so healing being there. It's just so healing.
yeah. I notice with my three children, in a normal society day, if we're out, at a birthday party or something, everyone comes home and there's like, too much sugar, too much everything, right? And we come home and I could tell that the kids are frazzled versus a day in the forest. There's just such a different feeling. Everyone's tired, but with this like vitality from the inside, like just peaceful, calm centeredness. Like I can come
Hmm.
home and I'll make dinner and everyone's peaceful. It's really interesting. So it's magic every single time. There's not one bad day. Even on the days that it's raining, like the crazy raining, even that day you still feel better than a day spent rushing
Absolutely.
around. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, it
Very
is.
cool. It brings back, I grew up on a farm and I wish more people had a chance to grow up on a farm. But we had a fairly large pasture and, at anytime I wanted, I could walk through the pasture and, cows were in it, but who cares? I mean, cows are not going to bother you. So it's like, um, it's just so peaceful. Yeah. And to climb up to the top of the tallest hill or something and could see for miles and just like if you looked over a mountaintop, only, a little bit
Yeah.
smaller view, but it's just those moments, yes, are definitely magic in your soul, right?
Mhm.
Magic to form lasting thought patterns, not just memories, yeah, in your
Yeah.
life.
And I was blessed to be able to go to a farm when I was growing up, to my cousin's farm. So I know exactly what you mean. And being able to walk through the cows, and my cousins would name their cows. They all had their own names. And just being in that environment, I agree. I think everybody should be able to experience such thing, even if just for a
Hmm.
summer camp or summer experience, that would be so beautiful to bring people even closer to nature um,
Yeah.
and be connected to that.
Well,
I
I
agree.
notice that even now with me. I mean, like I said, I live in this little tiny town, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and things are much slower here than, go to a city or whatever. But even here, when I go back, my mom still lives on the farm by herself. She'll be 89 this year, I think.
Oh wow.
And it's like to go there. And it's like, yes, something about it is childhood things, but it's just freedom, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Let's
peace. It's no time schedule to me. It's like
Mhm.
getting away from the computer and getting away from all the social media on your phone all the time, and it's just being.
Yeah. You brought up a
Yes,
good point. It's the freedom for the children and for us to just kind of explore and play and be curious without any I have to do this. There's nothing you have to do. Just enjoy.
just be,
Yeah.
Just be, yeah.
just be in peace
Mhm.
and notice the little things that you don't usually get to notice. And that's why I'm doing this like online program to do kind of like a forest bathing thing, forest therapy, and I'd like to incorporate that into the children too, where we can um, just sit, notice, observe, and connect more, and be able to connect with the plants and the trees and bring that curiosity out in the children and connect more adults because like you said, Lisa, a lot of people never had that opportunity to connect with nature, and I feel like that would be helpful to bring people in our busy cities, bring them out in nature for even a couple hours a week, and just show them what nature can do and how healing it could be for their health, for their mental health. Um, so, yeah, just slowing down and observing a tiny piece of nature around you, or even if you have a plant at home, looking at it is also very healing, and the connection with it, caring for that one little plant, um, watching the leaves, looking at the soil, feeling it with your hands. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Lovely. Yeah, very nice. So I was wondering, like when you have your forced school, your all day schools when the weather's cooperates and everything, the do the kids bring their own sack lunch or and what do they usually bring? Or do you make something there?
You want to answer? I mean, once in a while we'll eat forage and make stuff, and sometimes we use fire. And like I said, we've done bread on a stick. Um, we've done the
Apples roasted.
popcorn, little snacks. What did you say?
Apples roasted on
Apples.
fire.
Yeah, we've done some cooking over the fire. I mean, I if we had a space, I would love to. I love to cook with my own children, and I love teaching healthy habits and having the garden section of it. So I would love to, if we had our own space, it'd be a lot easier. So a lot of times they do bring their own lunch, and we try to encourage healthy, healthy as
Mhm.
possible. But it's up to the parents. So
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Yeah. But it wouldn't be necessarily what you'd get at the school lunch program.
it's yeah. Usually our families a little more intentional with what they
Hmm.
feed their children, and yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
We encourage them to bring a healthy lunch and a reusable water bottle so that
yeah,
way we don't,
Hmm.
to teach also. We also try to teach and encourage um, you go and you leave the forest as it was. You don't make a mess with your garbage, and we always have a garbage. And I usually have a bag attached to my bag that is like if we find something, we pick it up, we clean up the forest. We
yeah.
take
Hmm.
care of our Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So we teach them, but they bring their own snack and lunch.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Very good. I was gonna think of my list, be sure that there was something that I wanted to know that I hadn't talked about. Um,
And I also just wanted to add to that we kind of did this to bring the children to encourage more and more to. I feel like with the life we're living now with computers, electronics, their spirits are almost being stolen out of them by the overwhelming use of electronics. Even in schools, a lot of times they're not even allowed to write on paper anymore. They're using electronics for a lot of things. So we want to teach the kids the connection, to bring back the connection and the beauty of nature and the freedom and the creativity they can have. um, and it teaches them courage. It teaches them so many different things just being
mm,
out in nature, and to really learn the love for Mother Earth as we keep saying how things are changing and we want to recycle. But I feel like the main thing is just being connected to nature. And once you have that connection and the love and respect, and you start learning things and noticing how much you can receive from her, and the healing and the joy of all the beautiful things around you, I feel like things will change in the human world in overall. So the more schools are, when we first started, and it kind of we just got thrown into it with the pandemic. It was just the most weird, beautiful thing that happened to us. Um, I feel like since then, we were like one of the first ones in the area. And since then, I see so many forest programs that have popped out. And it's so beautiful to see that it's being offered in so many different areas for children, and that it's coming back because it's been around in Europe for so long. And this is in such need around here as well.
Yeah.
So more programs are coming out, and that's encouraging to just have the connection with nature and the love for her. And I feel like that's so important,
I
and that's
definitely
what we
think
want to
there's
teach.
there's a shift going on in the last few years where, I'll be out somewhere and I can hear someone talking about homeschooling. It seems like the families who have kids in that preschool age time, they're starting to see, that school, they don't want their kid to be on a screen all day at 5 years old, sitting inside. And they're trying to look for other alternatives. There's like an awakening going on, definitely. And I do feel the shift, and I'm excited that hopefully, just more and more. I feel like once you feel that magic, you never forget it. So
And
if
you
you
don't want to go
can,
back.
yes, you never want to go back. So, um, yeah, if we can just continue that. And the other thing with technology is there's never a chance to be bored or to just sit with yourself. And, you know, it's almost like an uncomfortableness around, thinking or feeling your body. So if we could cultivate more just sitting and, oh, well, how am I feeling right now? Or, those subtle intuitive things that you just need to be calm. You need to not be running around, and nature is perfect for that. So, yeah.
And since you said this, over the weekend, my neighborhood children that are friends with my daughter were around, so we were going to go for a hike. And they were like, "Oh, can we come with you?" Like, sure, let's go. It's I was excited they actually wanted to go. So as we're on a hike, as you mentioned with the electronics, I was talking to the little girl, and she's like, if I had something like this to do, I would rather do this than just, I forget what she called it, a zombie scroll or something like
Yeah,
that.
doom scroll.
Doom scroll. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I'm just like, what? She's like, yeah, I'll just scroll because there's nothing else to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. But if
Mhm.
I had something productive to do like this is really beautiful, and they really enjoyed it. She struggled a little bit because she's not used to it, but she really, really enjoyed it.
Oh,
And at one point, when I looked at her brother, he was just sitting there, the most peaceful moment I've ever got to experience. He was just sitting there happy with this huge stick that he found. And I could not believe he carried that massive stick the entire hike and then brought it home with us. And he just sat there looking at the waterfall. And I didn't want to disturb him because I don't think I've ever seen him so peaceful in my life. And he was just so happy and so peaceful.
yeah.
Mm,
And it was
wow.
just a really magical moment. And like you said with the electronics, if we can bring that connection to nature somehow to even public schools, it would be so beautiful. It would be so beautiful for the children.
Yeah.
Yeah. I so often when people talk of magic, it's the hocus pocus or what TV has shown of, witches or other stuff like that, and which can have good or bad viewpoints depending on, the person and your experiences. But it's like, to me, and it's this, I think the same what you're talking about, magic is what happens when we integrate with nature or with the world around us, right? When we're present, when we're curious, when we have that um, mindset of wonder and gratitude, then
Yes.
magic happens. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're big on gratitude as well, because if you start it's like a matter of noticing all the positive things that you encounter in your day with when it comes to nature. You just see more and more of that, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. At the end of our circle, we also
Mhm.
incorporate gratitude. Everybody gives some kind of gratitude at the end of the day with the rosebud thorn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Very beautiful. I think we'll stop there. Could you guys, if there's one last thought or um, something you'd like to leave the audience with, and then to tell us how to get hold of you. And the links are below, but it's always good to hear it too. So,
Okay. I'd say get out in nature as much as you can, um, even if it's just the tree that's down the street as you're walking by, and put your hands on it. Set an intention or ask a question. Be curious. Don't be afraid to be in nature and just go outside in your grass, sometimes barefoot, and sit for a few minutes reading your book. Look up in the sky. Look up as you're walking. Look around. Take a moment to just be with yourself sometimes. Slow down. And let your kids do risky play. Climbing trees. We didn't really get to talk about risky play, but it's really important. And I'm glad that the parents that bring the children to our session allow them to, even, with knife carving and learning safety like that with fire. It's really important. So if you're setting a fire in your backyard, let your kids get involved. Find a forest school near you.
Yeah.
there you go.
Go for a nature walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to add that, one beautiful thing when my kids were really young is we just met with other families in the forest. And just it's sometimes a little daunting to be with young kids in the forest by yourself. So it was really nice to just spend time together, and your kids will feel super centered. And so if you have family, if you're a parent, take your kids out, find another buddy. Um, our program, we have like a WhatsApp community where we just have informal meetups. We're just encouraging, over the summer we go on like waterfall adventures. Just bring out that inner child of playing in the forest, just having fun. No agenda, know where you have to go, how many miles you have to make. Just enjoy. So
Go with the flow like the stream.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
like the stream. Yeah.
Yes.
Be a tree. Be a
Yes.
tree. Let all the emotions and all the busyness just flow through.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a website, Divine Earth Village, and you can check out our stuff there. We have a Instagram page, which is in the bottom. What's the name of the Instagram page?
I think it's Divine Earth Village too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
not the biggest technology people, so you won't
Right.
see a lot of us because we're out playing in the forest and not updating, but
Right.
we do update
All
from
right.
time to time. So
Very good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for being here, and thank you everyone for watching. And you have a great encouragement and insight, and to take the courage and the time to get out in nature today in some way and hold a tree or hold a flower or a big stick and let the energy of nature just wash over you.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Carla.
much.
This was
oh,
beautiful.
you bet.
Thank you.
Yes, it was
If
an
you
honor.
two would
Thank you
hang
for
on a
having
little bit,
us.
and I'm going to end the stream. And thank you all
Okay.
for
Bye,
watching.
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.